Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Here we are. It is the first episode of Small Town Film Ghosts here in the lovely Bend, Oregon. My name is Jared Rassick,
My name is Todd Leiser.
My name is Julie Furness.
and we are sitting in Tin Pan Theater, an art house cinema that seats 28 people in the heart of downtown Bend. We've been basically closed almost consistently since March.
Yeah, we are recording this first episode at the end of 2020. If anyone's listening to this in the future, during a period when a lot of us who are either tangentially a part of the film industry or just film goers, this is a limbo period for the film industry. And as the folks who are a part of a small film festival organization here in a small town in Central Oregon, we're trying to figure out what it means to be film goers in this day and age.
Yes.
And-
we're hoping for the best. We're
Yeah.
hoping to see you guys back at the seats next year sometime. And we're hoping that our festival will be in person as well as virtual.
And by recording the podcast here in
In Tin Pan
a
Theater.
dark movie theater, it kind of adds even more kind of poignant meaning to the fact that we're sitting in a movie theater, not showing movies, talking about movies.
Yeah, if anyone's was intrigued by the title, Small Town Film Ghosts, I think just about anyone who runs a theater, or if you're just a movie goer, we feel like everyone's a bit of a film ghost these days.
Yeah, the limbo of 2020 and knowing what the future is of the communal experience of going to see movies is definitely something that, regardless of whether it changes for the better or the worse, is definitely not going to be the same as we knew it last year.
But yeah, either way, yeah, we wanted to create this podcast to just remind people, that if you enjoy movies, if you're a Bend local and you've enjoyed coming to the Tin Pan Theater for movies, we hope we can engage you in some film discussion, because that is often something that people often linger after these movies and want to talk about movies. So hopefully we can at least provide that in some form.
And if you'd like to hear some of our bona fides, why we're even remotely
Oh yeah, are we qualified?
worth? Yeah, I mean, is anyone really qualified to talk about art? Who knows? Well, my name's Jared Rassick again, and I'm a film critic here in Bend, Oregon. I also work at Tin Pan Theater and for Bend Film, and basically since I've been 17 years old, I've either been working in video stores, movie theaters,
On stage.
one way or another. Yeah, just being around movies, and it's kind of it's my passion for sure.
It's definitely a common experience. I think a lot of people we've grown up with movies in some form or another.
Yeah. How about you, Todd? How are you qualified?
How am I qualified? As I like to
Impress me.
So it's all I'm good for. I like to say that I devoted my entire academic career to studying movies, because when I was in college, I chose the film studies major, and then I went and got an MFA in film stuff. Thought I was going to go into the industry, and then after that was when I came to Bend and just got a job that would just fill some time at Tin Pan. Not thinking that it would turn into 3 years later, but yeah, I've been at Tin Pan for 3.5 years now. Just being a big film nerd. I just. You think it does? Right.
This is surely paying off that student loan. Right?
Hey Jared, I think your mic went out. Yeah. Press the power button. Hopefully we can edit this out, maybe. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah, it's better. I think the batteries might be low on that, though.
Okay. Should I pause it?
Yeah, why don't you pause it?
Okay. Oh yeah.
Hey Jared, your mic's back on.
Oh my God, it is great.
Thank God I have these batteries that I bought the other day.
Holy shit! What were we talking about?
Hey everyone, did you know that podcasts are kind of hard?
They really are, especially when you're recording them in a 110-year-old building.
Yeah, Yeah, this
with-
place is haunted.
It's super haunted. I have seen things that I literally don't even like talking about. But I probably will because I talk about
Yeah,
everything.
please do.
Hey, Julie, what are your qualifications?
Yeah. What are your bona fides?
Little old me.
Yeah.
Well, I am Julie Furness, aka Chick on Flick on Instagram, aka the general manager at the Tin Pan. Went to film school at the University of North Texas. Worked in Los Angeles and Texas for about 10 years. Then, let's see, I've been trying to leave the film industry pretty much for the past 20 years, but it just doesn't ever happen.
Doesn't
So
take.
keep circling back, but I am definitely at home working for a festival, also a theater. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to own this place at some point, so
Yeah.
You're on track, so.
so I am on track. So just I'm watching you. Yep.
I feel like
And
both of you are way more qualified to talk about movies than I am. Yet somehow I'm the film critic.
I
But-
think you probably watch more than I do, though.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah,
I have watched
okay.
a lot, but not as nearly as much as you.
I will admit that, like, I love watching movies, but I'm really bad at putting in the time to do it. And I
Right.
think, and for sure, like, every time, Jared, you show up, like, hey, this is what the movie I watched last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have not watched something new in like a little while.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially, I feel like in 2020, it was a little harder. Like, I feel like it was easier to watch shows than it was to watch movies.
Right,
for sure.
right.
Even though somehow I did end up watching I don't think I finished a single season of a new television show this year. Like, I didn't finish anything.
Even a limited series?
I didn't finish Mandalorian. I didn't finish
Wow.
Queen's Gambit. I like
Wow.
nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Stop right there.
And I did watch a total of 85 2020 releases.
Nice.
Of
Oh,
film.
man.
Okay.
So I think
I salute you, sir. I
Yes,
salute you.
I do.
actually, you know what? I finished one series. I finished the brand new season of Letterkenny.
Oh,
And I sat and I watched it in
WWE.
what's that?
Or WWE.
I've been watching a lot of wrestling. And I'll tell you what, if anything has helped get me through this pandemic,
Okay.
it's Vince McMahon
Nice.
making people kiss his bare ass. Literally kiss his bare
Yeah.
ass on television. It's very strange.
There's probably something pretty cathartic in that.
It really is. Because you're like, ooh, this soap opera's got a cool story, and now they're bleeding. Like, it's the best of both worlds, I feel like.
So obviously we have a lot of different, interests and
Very much so.
varieties of
we're gonna come back to that.
interests.
So, for
I like
sure.
bad things.
Okay.
Todd likes good things, and Julie likes great things.
Yeah.
So between the three of us,
I've created a facade of studying film history that makes it seem like I have very highfalutin tastes.
Well, yeah, you're a little mainstream and a little,
A
I'm
little
like-
everything.
Yeah.
a little bit
And I'm-
punk and a little bit country.
Yeah, and I'm mainstream all the way, but I watch everything.
Mhm.
Right,
Um,
right.
So, speaking of everything,
Yeah.
Jared,
Oh.
why the hell did you make us watch this?
So okay, so we're sitting here in Tin Pan Theater, and I worked at this theater many years ago. I started working here about 2 weeks after we opened, and worked here for a little over 3 years, I think. All of it's kind of a blur at this point. But we hadn't really caught on in Bend. And and we were showing all kinds of movies, and it really didn't matter what it was. Any type of genre, anything we would book, we'd get we would have whole days showing 3 or 4 different movies
Mhm.
and have nobody, for weeks at a time. Some days I'd go home and be like, I talked to 3 people today. And then
And that's
we-
over like a 9-hour period.
yeah, over a 9-hour period.
Mhm.
And then we booked a movie that I would legit say single-handedly turned things around, because we packed the theater in a way that I had never seen before.
Man.
And it kind of stayed that way for a long time. it hit a point where the reverse happened, where it didn't matter what we showed, people would come to it, just trusting our vibe. But the
Mhm.
movie that saved the theater is one that really, I don't know how it did. It's a wonderful little movie known as Holy Motors.
I'm sure there's probably gonna be a combination of people who have seen this movie, and again, if they are longtime patrons, and there could be people who've never heard of it.
Right.
And I think we want to get into the movie a little bit, but I think we're gonna ask this question of why we think this movie was the one that did it. But I think like some basic facts. Directed by a filmmaker named Leo Carax, I believe is how we pronounce it. Leo Corral. And what year? It was a 2012 movie.
2012, yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
It's a French film. Definitely, I would say in general falls into that art house cinema style of movie. So the kind you'd expect to see at any foreign language art house theater, much like ourselves. What were those general first reactions that you got from this movie, Jared?
So I think the thing that brought people to the movie is when we opened it, we had a big old almost limo parked out in the alley, and people would walk up, sit in the limo, get their photo taken in the limo, and then get out onto a red carpet and walk into the theater on the red carpet.
So it was an event.
It was, yeah, opening night was an event. Like
Okay.
we pushed it as like, we think this movie's amazing. Come watch opening night of this. It's a red carpet premiere.
Okay.
So opening night was full. Like it was
Okay.
sold out. And I think word of mouth kept people coming to that movie for, I think we had it for probably 5 weeks, 4, 5, 6 weeks maybe.
This was advertised on the website or Facebook.
This would have been Facebook. I think this might have been before we were on Fandango.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm not
Again, this is
entirely
2012.
2012, yeah, because we didn't sell tickets on Fandango, but Fandango listed our times.
Right.
It really was just a word of mouth thing,
Okay.
and everybody, when the closing credits of that movie hit, everybody cheered ecstatically, like
Wow.
as if they had watched the best movie they'd seen in years. And it's funny because when you talk to people about like, what do you snarkily picture when you imagine a French art house film, Holy Motors is kind of that thing. Like
It captures it pretty well.
it's like it's pretentious, it's bizarre, it's strange. There's a lot of male penis in it. Like all of those things combined, you're like, yes, this is French.
Yes.
But for
It
some,
fits the cliches and the stereotypes.
yeah,
pretty
all
well.
of them in one movie,
Oh.
really. But for some reason, the film makes all of it feel fresh, and it makes all of it feel like it exists in such a particular time and place and fantasy. Because I would call the movie a fantasy. Like it's
Yeah.
a legit fantasy. And I like, because it's funny, because in 2020, I guarantee you, if we opened a movie like Holy Motors, or even, no, not even a movie like Holy Motors, if Holy Motors came out in 2020 and we opened it tomorrow, audiences would be like, what the hell did I just watch? Like I feel like it would almost be a completely different reaction. It's really, I don't know, like, what do
you guys think that this movie was at all making fun of French existentialism films at all? Do you think they set out to partly do that? I mean,
it wouldn't surprise
because
me.
I can
Yeah.
believe it.
you know,
Yeah. because it's definitely a movie that just it goes farther than just about any French art film that I've seen. Yeah, and it almost dares you to just to keep watching it because it doesn't hold your hand
No,
throughout
Right.
the movie
Not at
by
all.
any means.
Because the three of us, we've probably seen a Jean-Luc
Oh yeah, we've seen Godard.
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
seen Truffaut. Yeah.
Truffaut, and so we're like, okay, here we go. Just like Jared said, here we go again, another one. You're not surprised by every scene. I mean, at first you might be like, that first scene, not the first scene, the when he
The first segment.
the first segment, yes, when he goes to do the CGI stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Right.
it turns into the comic book fantasy.
The
the
CG
love
characters.
scene. Yeah,
Sure,
I was
sure.
like, oh my
Snakes.
god! And then after that, in my head, I was like, oh my god! I
Right.
was like, I'm not surprised.
When I was watching the movie the other night again, I just put in my notes. When the snake characters come on, the audience is either in or out at that point.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
It's a point of no return where you are either into it or you're out of it. One thing I want to say just to anyone who hasn't seen this movie, there isn't really much to spoil because this movie is an experience.
Yeah,
Absolutely. But essentially, it's broken up into these different sections where we follow this character who, I guess we could describe him as being an actor, but he's playing out scenarios in public where he's constantly putting on these different costumes and
playing out scenes.
Right.
And we're never quite sure where the line is between reality and fiction. And yeah, it's again very very strange movie. Hard to really describe exactly what it is. There isn't really a plot, but again, it's broken into these sections where each time this character of Mr. Oscar is putting on these personas and he's going out into public and being these strange weird characters. And I kind of want to go through maybe like some of the characters in detail a little bit.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's the motion capture character is one where it seems like he goes into this studio with the mocap suit and all the white balls that pick up digital information, and he's like doing acrobatics and then also enacting a love scene with another performer.
Right. Then we get to see what the film is going to look like.
Right.
Yeah, we see these digital snake characters that are essentially making love, and again, that's the point where I wrote the audience is either in or out at that point.
Yeah, it's very much like I felt like that whole section of the film was a comment on voyeurism, and like it kind of brings the audience in as a participant in what he's doing, because technically he's not just performing, because all of these people that he interacts with are people that treat him as if he's done this 100,000
They're
times
working.
before.
Yeah,
So it's like he's
Yeah.
living lives with these
Yeah,
people.
they're working.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sorry, continue.
Yes, the audience is in or out at that point.
Yeah,
when
but
he goes,
completely.
when he's like, when they're, intertwined,
Yeah.
let's just say that.
Yeah, yeah.
They
and
are-
his mouth is in a certain place, right?
They are in adult positions.
Yes, that is when
Yeah.
I feel like maybe some of that our audience here at Tin Pan would walk
Right,
out
right.
and be like, oh, nope.
That's too much for me.
And have you
much.
felt that before, where you're in the theater with an audience and you feel them turn on a movie?
For sure.
Yep,
And we've
yep.
had some walkouts.
Yeah.
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 So
Which honestly, like that's you're gonna get that at any theater, really.
Sure.
we don't know why they walk out. They, we don't know if they're offended.
It's people's own personal choice. One thing I was thinking about that during that section when I was taking my notes the other night, when I was thinking about why this movie might have hit such a chord with people, there's not a lot of dialogue during some of these sections.
Right.
And so I can only imagine what it would have been like to see this movie in the theater with an audience, and everyone's just like probably reacting very audibly to what they're seeing on screen.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
what was that
Did they?
essentially?
Oh yeah,
experience, Jared?
What was
the moment that had everybody going ballistic was the musical section with the accordions. Walking through Paris. That sequence absolutely made everyone in the theaters. It was almost like the weirdness was starting to build and build, and everybody was like, okay, what's going on?
Right.
And then there's this musical interlude halfway through the movie that's pure high energy
Yep.
and music and
Yep.
happiness and exuberance. And then everybody was like, woo!
Yeah.
And then they were
Okay.
fully on board for the
Okay.
second half of the film.
That was deliberate
Mm.
for sure.
yeah,
And
definitely.
very little has been written about this film.
Right.
But the one thing that I have read consistently was that was random, very
Mhm.
random, the music.
Yeah.
Right,
they bring
right.
in, but so it's a much needed break.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, it was really well done. It
Yeah.
was like weird. Awesome. And
Yeah.
then back to weird.
Yeah.
So-
You need to feel a connective tissue from all that weirdness, or else you are going to get bored, you are going to get
Mhm.
exhausted,
If it
you
keeps
are going to start
going
wondering
and
what the
going,
point of
yes.
something is.
Yeah. Because throughout the movie you keep getting these snippets or implications about what this work is that this one character that we're following is, and there does seem to be these implications of there is a profession that he's a part of, and there's a whole organization.
Right. A whole organization behind it. Yeah.
I almost
Yeah.
thought that maybe these people hired him to reenact these scenes.
Right.
Or,
Right.
not reenact, but interact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause, there's no cameras, there's no audio, there's no,
Right.
there's.
Yeah.
It's just-
The one line of dialogue that seems to give us the most exposition is like his superior shows up or his handler, and they ask him because they think that his work is sloppy, or that they're questioning his work ethic, and they ask him if he's still enjoying it, and he says something like, I remember when you could see the cameras and it felt I actually enjoyed the work then. But like he says something to the extent of the actual act of performance still draws me. And so there does seem to be this implication that whatever business or work this is that he's engaged in, you used to be able to see the cameras that captured everything, and now you don't.
It's almost like a reality show,
right.
and
Yeah.
that the camera is following him around, but it's following him around in his off work times as well.
Yeah.
In the limo,
yeah,
getting
yeah.
ready and watching his face and having to get
Mhm.
into character. And
Yeah.
it's like he just keeps going and going and going and going. And that scene with his quote unquote daughter
yeah.
in the car, I thought, oh, okay, this is definitely
Yeah,
his personal life right here.
Yeah, right,
Okay, he's
Right.
taking some time off, he's got a break, he's going to go pick her up. It's like, what the hell?
yeah, but he's still he's definitely wearing makeup and like putting on a character even when he's doing that, because like you can tell that that's not his base face when he's in the limo, and so there is still always this sense of performance even in the sections that we think are like real life that are outside. It's
Performing a performer is
Yeah.
what they call it.
it's a weird movie, man.
I mean, an actor playing an actor. There's layers there. I'm trying to think of Jim Carrey when he played the comedian.
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
I mean,
man.
you're just that was a great film, and I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
about it many times.
Sure. Because the movie, I think Holy Motors can definitely be seen as a metaphor for filmmaking and
Sure,
and the
sure.
film industry. Like especially when he's having his lunch in a limo and he's got half of his makeup on for something. It's like I can see that as being a allegory for when actors are on set having their lunch break and they're in their prosthetics and all this stuff. Like
Yeah. Well, in the context of the year 2012, it wasn't a great year for movies. If I remember right, the best picture, like the movie that was kind of the most critically acclaimed that year was Argo, which is not a bad movie, but it's also not like do you know anybody who still talks about Argo?
it's a movie. It's a movie about movie making.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. I think there was a point in that year where people were ready for something that challenged them and something that because it's also the same year that Cosmopolis came out, the David Cronenberg film, which is very similar structurally, at least, of somebody riding around in a limo for the entire length of a film.
So like you think in the context of say Tin Man and Bend, this would have been just something that like was very different from everything else that it played in this town that year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Pilot Butte 6 Cinema was still open,
Mhm.
so they would have indie movies every once in a while, but nothing like Holy Motors.
Mm-hmm.
I think Silver Linings Playbook was still playing there. That was like the last film I saw there.
Right. I think Hobbit had just opened or
Right,
was
yeah,
about to open.
Yeah, it was like December of 2012.
I
the
think
first Hobbit came out.
because if I remember right, we got Holy Motors in the summer because I remember it being warm and everybody was in
Got it.
t-shirts and looking good
Mhm,
and warm
mhm.
like while getting their photos taken in the limo.
Now, this was the year of the artist as well, which I thought was very
Right.
experimental.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people also, mainstream moviegoers also poo-pooed that one as well. 'cause
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
I think that one was actually 2011, but like it would have been playing in the beginning.
Would have been
of the-
playing.
the
Yeah,
beginning
it
of
was
2012.
an Oscar contender and winner for.
And then that was also Killer Joe, I think, was playing
Mhm.
at Pilot Butte and Queen of Versailles.
2012 was definitely a year of like the kind of movies that were in the awards season window were a lot of bigger studio films, and there weren't as many indie films. Like I'm thinking of like Django Unchained came out 2012, or like the Inside Llewyn
Moonrise
Davis.
Kingdom.
Yeah, Moonrise Kingdom, I think, was the critical darling of 2012.
Yeah, so I feel like the indie films that were coming out in 2012 were maybe more under the radar than usual.
Yeah, and even The Master, because The Master came out in 2012, but
It did, that's right.
that was
That was a big that was essentially a big studio.
Yeah, sure,
film.
and yet simultaneously, it was like people who like big studio films were like, this is kind of boring, and people who like Paul Thomas Anderson films were like, is there much to this?
Right.
So like that one even kind of shot between most film fans as well. I don't know. It just
So the pickings would have been felt fewer for theaters like Tin Pan.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't as much maybe that was really popping off.
It just felt exciting.
You guys didn't have a deal with A24 at the time, right?
I don't think A24 existed at the time, did it? Yeah, no. Yeah.
Because wasn't Argo an A24 film?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I
Don't
thought
think
that was a
A24
bigger
was
studio.
was there
The
yet.
very first movie that A24 put out, we did. The very, very first movie that A24 ever put out was A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles
That's
Swan
right.
III.
That's right. Bill
which
Murray
was the
and
worst Bill Murray movie ever made. Roman
Roman Coppola, that
who
was
I was a huge fan of because of
he co-wrote Life Aquatic.
and he did
worked with
this
Wes
great.
Anderson.
I can't believe I can't think of the name of it, but he did this great film about the making of a 70s sci-fi movie called C. Oh, it's called C something. And I was a big fan of that. But a look inside the glimpse inside the mind of Charles Swan III was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally the worst movie to date that A24 has put out, and it was their first.
It was
movie.
their first one. Can't believe A24 is still around, but God bless them.
Yeah, I don't know the last A24 movie I've been disappointed in, to be honest with you.
No, yeah, I often think that I think A24 saved indie cinema.
Yeah. I think I feel bad for not that we need to go off on a tangent or whatever, but I kind of feel bad for the company that Megan.
Oh, Annapurna.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Annapurna because
maybe that's who I'm thinking.
they were like doing exactly what A24 was doing.
Yeah, Annapurna and A24 were like they came out at the same time and then doing the same thing.
But for some reason, Annapurna's movies kept flopping one after the other after the other.
And I think Megan Ellison had a bit of a reputation. Like there was a lot of stuff being written about her where like people weren't giving her like the best reviews.
So I think it was Spring Breakers that made A24.
Yeah,
like, that's
that
the
makes
movie
sense.
that
makes
like
sense.
put them on the map big
so
time.
If we opened Holy Motors here at Tin Pan again, and we would just say we did, just for the heck of it, and we did the whole event thing. What do you think it would? You think?
No, I don't think.
You don't think people would come see it?
The thing that I learned over when theaters shut down and Regal tried reopening way too early.
Mm-hmm.
They were reopening with Lord of the Rings and The Matrix
Yep.
and
Jurassic Park.
in Jurassic Park and movies that people love.
Yep.
And people still weren't going to see them.
Yep.
I don't know. Like I feel like there's a real time and a place for movies to show movies that people can watch at home. Like it's I thought for sure like playing Lord of the Rings or The Matrix would
Bring
pack
people back
Regal,
to the
and it
theaters,
didn't. It
No,
absolutely
I
did
saw
not
Empire
work.
Strikes Back. I think there was 8 of us in there.
Right. So I do. I wonder
Yeah.
if we opened Holy Motors in 2020. I wonder if everyone who would come to see it has seen it already, and anyone who hasn't seen it yet doesn't care to see it.
Or do you feel like it's just now it's meant before teaching?
I don't know.
Right,
Part of film
right.
history.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
it's you know.
That's a question for you, Julie, because you're the one who hadn't seen it and just watched it for the first time recently. Did it feel like just a bygone piece of French cinema, or did it feel like something that's still important and vital to you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I had seen it in film school, I would have been like, "Oh my god,"
Mhm.
Right,
because there
right.
was. I mean, I took so many different classes because I had to.
Right,
Because I
right.
wanted to because I had to. So, classic horror films and film history and art of film, and you have to get all those in.
Sure,
because
sure.
You have to do a project on each of them.
Yeah,
while you're doing
yeah,
production
yeah.
on the other side. So I just I wish I had taken a class maybe
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't think there was anyone teaching French existentialism back then. I really
Right,
don't.
right.
I graduated in '99.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Looking back, honestly, I could probably look up right now. I don't think anyone was teaching that. I don't think I would have had exposure to
Right.
this kind of film back
Right.
then. And if I had gone Dune.
Our coworker Dune.
Dune, our coworker Dune Williams. She is, man, does she know her
Yeah,
existentialism?
she's getting a
Sure,
great
sure.
education
I
right
mean, yeah, and I feel like I was,
now. Yeah, I feel like my dad's been telling me
missing
that
out.
like studying film, studying cinema, especially at a university level, is just popping off more and more.
Mhm.
And like it is becoming a bigger and bigger thing where people are going to school to study movies, and like you're not even necessarily going to a film school. You can go to just about any big university, and there's usually some sort of film department or film studies department.
Sure, and you can get an associate's right now and then go into the DGA program if you really want to be a producer.
Right.
And that's
right.
one thing I didn't do. I could have done it, but I would if I had gone into the DGA program, I would have been a producer by now, but I just didn't want to do it. I was like, "Oh man, I should not. I should have gone the other direction."
Right.
'cause-
Right.
But I just, life is life, and I was too excited by production, and now
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I have to catch up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
got to catch up.
So what do you think? Watching Holy Motors for the first time the other day, did it make you feel more like the film is something that's going to stand the test of time,
I
or
don't.
yeah, you just think it's kind of a forgettable oddity?
Well, no,
or?
not forgettable, but I think it belongs on a list somewhere
Right.
for sure.
Like of the 1,000 movies you should watch before you die, kind of thing.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And students who are going into theory, they're going into criticism for sure.
Mhm.
Right.
If they're going into criticism or archiving or any of that, they need to watch this film.
Do you think people not even in 2020, but do you think when cinemas come back and people actively search out more films, do you think people are going to be ready for challenging new films right away, or do you think it's going to be like, let's have a couple softballs for a few months,
Looking at 2021,
Right.
it's all over the place.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
still going to be so behind.
Yeah,
Right.
it's that question of like we're operating under this assumption that once it's safe for people to go back to theaters and the audiences are coming back in some capacity, there's often this assumption that people are just going to be excited to see stuff on a big screen again, and do it,
Right.
come together in some sort of audience. So it's a question of would a film like Holy Motors do people want that just weird out of nowhere or out of left field experience, or do they want?
They want it here. They
Right,
don't want
right.
it at Regal. They want it
Yeah,
here.
that's
wanted
true,
at
that's
Tin
true.
Pan Theater. Yeah.
Like you
yeah.
said, they're gonna come here.
Right,
They're
right.
gonna come here to see that. You know, because think about Parasite.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
many people didn't see it until it won an Oscar,
Right.
and then they came to see it.
Yeah. yeah.
Thank you, Tin Pan patrons. We appreciate you.
Oh
we
yes, we
love
so
you.
appreciate
We love
you.
you.
But the year
My
before, we were showing Free Solo, and we were like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
Yeah.
totally
my
different.
parents, they absolutely, my mom in particular, she hates to be challenged by film.
Oh, interesting.
She wants a movie with explosions and maybe a romance, a couple car chases.
So Transformers.
She would no, because that's too far for her. Like that's too much. I feel like like Fast and the Furious, like that's kind of right in her wheelhouse. She loves Grey's Anatomy. She loves This Is Us. She loves A Million Little Pieces or whatever, A Million Little Things.
Yeah.
But I tried to get her to watch Breaking Bad or
She was like,
yeah, it's like that whole like the concept of you need to tune in every week to get the rest of the story is something that doesn't appeal to her and doesn't appeal to a lot of audiences, you know. And
Yeah.
that's recently, like Todd, you and I were just talking earlier today about the fact that when there's basically three things that are going to get people to come back to cinemas.
Yeah.
One is this movie came out on Friday. I've been dying to see it. I'm gonna go to a theater and see it because I want to see it on Friday. Two is this movie is going to be big and pretty, and I want to see it on a big screen. And three is people who love the collective experience of seeing a movie with an audience. Those and which of those three things, or if it's any of them, is going to be the thing that saves theaters, or is it not going to be any of them? You know.
It's being able to have an experience with an audience, have a collective experience. I think because that's what differentiates going to see a movie in the theater from going to seeing it at home.
Right.
I mean, you could maybe argue that now that we're in a social media age that you can still feel that in a different sense from home,
Like having a watch party or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. This all leads to depressive scenarios.
Well, there's a lot of scenarios, and what's interesting with that too, and it's the difference between seeing a movie in an art house as opposed to seeing it at a Regal or a Cinemark or an AMC, is the audience of a film can make or break that film for you.
Totally.
I remember seeing A Quiet Place in the theater,
right.
and it was, you could hear a pin drop in the theater, and it made that experience so much better.
oh, yeah.
But if you tried to see A Quiet Place with some giggling teenagers or old people being like, what does that mean? It might pull you out of it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Whereas I remember I was watching X-Men 3, The Last Stand in the theater, and about 20 minutes in, everybody was like, this is the... everybody collectively realized
everyone realized
this is a terrible movie.
Yep.
And so everybody kind of went into making it a fun experience.
Right.
You know? So it really... that collective experience does make or break a movie, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully, if you're a Tin Pan patron, you still yearn for that experience at a small indie theater like ours.
Yeah.
And don't complain to me about the seats.
Right.
And don't complain to me about the floors.
Uh-huh.
We love you. We love you guys.
We love you all.
We love you guys.
We're just happy that you're
working
here.
on it.
It really is the art houses though that are what almost solidify the experience for people, because people who come to Tin Pan aren't going to a movie to look at their phone the entire time,
very true.
or to treat it like they're at their house.
Yeah, this kind of brings me back to one other point. I was thinking about Holy Motors rewatching it. I was realizing that because it's a movie broken up into sections,
right?
It's almost like you get tastes of different kinds of movies but you never like it never goes long enough that you're connecting with the character or the story that's being told.
Right.
But you just get these snippets of different kinds of movies, and so it's almost like you're getting a bunch of different movie experiences from one film.
Right.
And so getting all these variations of weirdness from each section, that becomes a whole experience in itself. So that
Yes.
you're getting like 10 movies in one
Yeah,
from this
exactly.
little art
Yeah.
house
The
film.
writer maybe they had a bunch of short films and they would just
Yeah.
put it all together, and that's
Right.
it worked
Yeah.
for this film.
I mean, Holy Motors is a lot of things, but one thing it's not is boring. It's never
yeah,
boring.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It moves. I mean, it never stops moving ever. And that's my whole thing. And I actually just wrote about this for my end of the year list. Is the movies that I seek out more than anything are films that make me feel something.
Sure.
And I don't need it to make me feel good. I don't need to make me feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to somehow have at least one transcendent moment while watching it. And I feel like Holy Motors, and that might be why the audience appreciated that movie so much, is even if they don't gel into necessarily a coherent whole, that movie is packed to the gills of moments of import and moments that make you go, oh my God, I've never seen anything like that.
Totally. I think this is probably a good time to sort of maybe wrap up the discussion on the movie and get to the question of, I mean, do we like it? Do we think it's good?
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
Because I mean, I'm hoping that folks are listening to this who have seen this movie before and they're just remembering it, and I don't know, maybe you're even reconsidering whether you actually enjoyed the experience or not.
Right. It is available to watch right now on what's the one?
Pluto TV or
it's on Pluto TV, but what's the one that the libraries have?
Canopy.
It's on Canopy, so anybody with a library card can watch it.
So yeah, Jared, would you recommend this movie to someone?
Yeah, absolutely, I would. And I honestly, I don't know if that's because my experience of watching it is so completely connected to this theater, which I love. To me, Holy Motors kept it literally made my dreams come true. That movie, we had a red carpet premiere. We finally, for the first time, saw this theater filled with people. And the experience of watching that movie with an audience of people who might not necessarily have been into a French art house movie was really profound. Like I would genuinely recommend. I honestly think it's a great entry point for people wanting to get into more experimental films. Because it's not boring.
It's not.
It doesn't tax you in any way. There's a lot of weird shit in it, but ultimately, it's a fun movie to watch.
Yeah. I'm glad you're saying you would suggest it to people, but not necessarily replicate what you guys did back.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I would say on that point, I think I would recommend it too. But I do think that it is a movie that is best enjoyed with a group of people, probably.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So yeah, I would say if you're currently in a state where you're at home, you kind of miss seeing movies at Tin Pan. If you've got a good family unit, and you can convince, hey, does everyone want to watch a weird European art film? It's a fun experience. I bet even if you have a glass of wine or two, you'll really have a good time.
Bottle.
Yeah.
It's a movie you need to talk about after you watch it.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And there are some people that are definitely would enjoy it more with some substances, I'm sure. Just like Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Sure.
There are those movies out there that Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those movies. Make no mistake about it. It is a weird one. You got to be ready to go and have watch an experimental movie. I think everyone kind of knows whether or not they're going to be into this kind of movie. But yeah, hopefully we can continue to have this sort of be the movie that we judge other movies that play a tin pan against.
Right? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. How about you, Julie? Would you recommend it?
I'd recommend it to a certain type of person.
Not
or-
for everyone.
Not for everyone.
Yeah,
If I recommended this to my parents, they'd be like, "Hell no."
yeah. My parents would literally be pissed
yeah,
at me.
Like,
They'd be
hell
mad at
no.
me. Yeah.
But Dune for sure. She
Yeah.
needs
Yeah.
to watch it.
Any film student, I would recommend this to any film student. And if you genuinely like European movies, yeah, you would be into this. If you like straightforward American Hollywood pictures and you know that that's your thing, this probably won't be the movie for you.
And also, if subtitles bother you too, like because it is in
Yeah.
French, I guess we mentioned that, but it is subtitled, so
There's a little bit of
Um,
English.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. I feel like maybe Parasite proved that even someone that hates subtitles will read them for a film that they want to see, that they're really interested in seeing. I don't know.
That's honestly a whole other discussion, but
Yeah, it really is. Ultimately, Holy Motors is a 2-hour movie that is a season of the coolest TV show you've ever seen in your life. And it's a
the
season
most bizarre TV show you ever seen.
that doesn't have an ending, doesn't have a beginning.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of episodes that kind of create a tone and a vibe and a feeling.
Yeah.
And you walk away from that movie with that feeling in your gut, you know?
There you go. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully we hope that you remember this movie. If you have seen it, if you haven't, maybe you're intrigued enough. And again, hopefully in the future we're going to be playing movies in theaters again, maybe at some point. But we just want to remind you that this is the kind of stuff that we hope you want to come back to movie theaters to see, possibly.
Absolutely. Things that challenge you, things that make you feel something. But also, it's also really nice to watch things that don't. It's also really nice to watch things that transport you, that you don't have to feel anxiety, you don't have to feel on the edge of your seat. I know that I have to be, like, if I'm having a bad day, I don't want to watch an episode of Better Call Saul, because that's going to put me into it even worse. You know?
Yeah, you got to know what you're getting into.
Yeah, you just gotta be ready for it. You gotta be ready for it. And on that note, I hope you're ready, because this is just the first episode of a podcast that is going to melt all of your faces.
We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that we do improve over time if you didn't enjoy it.
We are the Small Town Film Ghosts. Next episode, we are going to be talking about our top movies of the year, our favorites, top 5, least favorites, and we'll get into a little bit about the new movies that should have been in theaters that are coming straight to streaming, and whether that feels like you're cheating on the movie theaters or not.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a discussion about again what it means to be a film gore these days.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's also going to be just a discussion about what was the media we consumed in 2020 to get through this year.
Yeah, exactly. What made it feel a little less isolating, a little less painful.
Yep. One last thing I do want to say: if you enjoyed this podcast, or maybe later down the road, you also enjoy later episodes of this podcast, we're also going to remind you that you can always donate to Ben Film to support the Ben Film Festival, support Tin Pan Theater. We're going to be continually doing this project to hopefully, again, continue the reminder that we like movies, and hopefully we can still watch movies in some format in this day and age.
And if you donate $5,000 or more, I will come to your house and massage your feet while you watch a movie of your choice. I am not joking.
It's the Jared Rassick
I will
special.
do it. We can get weird with it, but I'd like to keep it professional. But we can get weird with it. I'm open. All right, with that said, welcome and thank you for listening. I am Jared Rassick,
I'm Todd Leiser.
I'm Julie Furness.
and we will talk to you soon.